But we just can't stop. Although come to think of it, socialist states collapsed in the 1989-90s. USSR itself dissolved in 1991. After the Union, its socialist alternative, Yugoslavia, was brutally massacred. China, even if it is officially a bulwark of socialism, in reality has been implementing market reforms since the 1980s. It is now the actual centerpiece of capitalist world. Even Cuba, a country that is beloved by most communists, which managed to succeed in a lot of areas while having meager resources, is bit by bit losing to the world market. North Korea is a touchy subject as well. Even if most horror tales about it are basically myths, and the country itself makes some technological breakthroughs, mimicking Juche ideas is a dubious pleasure. Because blood and iron, leadermania, nationalism, etatism, have nothing to do with real socialism ideas. Long story short, socialism we are talking about crumbles away, and it's a fact. I'd say it's high time somebody deleted his channel. Not so fast. Anti-Soviet forces and uninformed people forget one crucial fact. Let me remind you that all great bourgeois revolutions and each and every one of the first attempts at building currently established market economy failed, and hard. No joke, total failure, with rivers of blood and sometimes, as a result, killings of innocent monarchs. Sounds familiar? Take the bourgeois revolution of England, for instance. It started in 1640 and led to 2 consecutive civil wars, execution of Charles I of England and establishment of a republic. After that, however, revolution went backwards. Radical forces, levelers, were defeated and Oliver Cromwell's dictatorship was established. After Cromwell's death, a coup happened and Stuart's house was restored to power. Charles II, who was a son of the executed Charles I, took the throne. England was a monarchy once again and feudalism ruled same as before. That's all, folks. End of the farce. But the French Revolution was even more cruel. The most powerful and the most extreme revolution against feudalism failed as well, even though it was off to a good start. Storming and destruction of the Bastille, which was a symbol of the monarchy's abuse of power, creation of the National Assembly, execution of Louis XVI's family, and at last revolutionary dictatorship installed by the Jacobins, equalization of rights for all citizens and total forced seizure of land from feudals done by the Jacobins, were accompanied by numerous changes in society, like the installment of a new calendar, and the most violent reign of terror. Aristocrats and whoever backed them were going through literal extermination. Yeah, that's harsh. By the way, terror was not done by some scary Bolsheviks but by market economy supporters instead. Robespierre, Marat and others. That being said, their time was cut short as well. The Jacobin dictatorship was overthrown by more moderate forces, the so-called coup d'état of 9 Thermidor. Revolution went downhill after that. Due to constant wars with reactionary monarchies of the Europe that revolutionary France had to wage, Napoleon Bonaparte, a young general, was slowly becoming more and more famous. At some point he effected a coup and returned dictatorship. After that he seized the position of the First Consul for life and in 1804 he became the Emperor of the French. That's not the end, though. 10 years later his empire was destroyed, mainly by Russians, and the previously overthrown House of Bourbon was restored to power. Feudal aristocrats gained their privileges back. Full circle. So there is that. And one can recall a lot of other bourgeois revolutions that came to nothing. International ones are among them as well. It was 1848. The so-called springtime of the peoples, revolts began in same old France and spread throughout the whole Europe. German and Italian soil, vastness of the Austrian Empire, All was in fire of the revolution and the whole old world was seemingly about to burn to a crisp. However, it was a failure again. At some places revolutions ended due to indecisiveness and lack of organization, and the Hungarian one was in fact suppressed by Russian forces. And so if you were to ask some man in the street in the 18th or even in the early 19th century his opinion on overthrowing the monarchy, or establishing market economy as a norm, he would probably tell you this: no way, monarchy is set in stone. Everybody who tried to form a republic failed. Except the US maybe. But it is a weird country and it's at the end of nowhere anyway. Market relations are a utopia. Aristocrats. The people who can deal with economy and politics alike. That's what most people believed in, even after the French Revolution and the beginning of industrialization. This worldview was common not only in Western Europe but all around the world. Late Russian bourgeois revolution of 1905 to 1907, for example, failed as well. And so neither the monarchy was overthrown nor nobility lost their lands and privileges. However, it would be incorrect to think that revolutions brought nothing but death, ruin and moral depravity. Bourgeois revolutions, even failed ones, undermine the old world basis. And through trial and error were building new economical and political systems. True, most of their accomplishments were negated by counter-revolutionaries after the fact. Nobody was able to negate all of them, though. No need to go far for an example. After the 1905 Russian Revolution, redemption payments for peasants which were their way after the Emancipation Reform of 1861 were cancelled. Political parties were legalized. Population was able to exercise at least some political rights, and Imperial Duma was created, although it was weak, did not have much power and was in reality just a shell, but at least it was working. Not bad. An unfinished revolution with results that had to be defended was grounds for more and more uprisings. France is a textbook example of that. After the French Revolution of 1789 to 1799, another revolution took place in 1830, the July Revolution, and another one in 1848, the February Revolution, after which the Commune de Paris was formed in 1871, and only then the French Republic was established with large businesses at its head. Capitalism and bourgeois republics had been born in great agony after several centuries of continuous struggle. And now they ask communism to produce results right here and now with no blood. What happened to socialist states was more of a pattern than a failure. First attempt at building a workers' state, Commune de Paris, had existed for 72 days. Soviet experiment had lasted for over 70 years and brought us not only numerous mistakes but also a lot of experience and real achievements. Capitalist world turned out to be stronger, but its time is running out. Technological advancements, like the internet or new production management systems, are changing the world and bring people closer, giving us more and more opportunities to leave market economy in the past. Growing worldwide inequality fuels unrest. Companies overreach. Wars, global economic crises that keep coming back, lead us to believe that capitalism is irrational. Yes, currently we are under the iron rule of the oligarchy. Yes, right now we are witnessing Soviet achievements and Western Social Democrats' life's work being purged. The era of global capitalism reaction. It does not mean it will be there forever. In time, people will have to fight back against the business power. And socialist experiment will continue.